this.
Oh, yeah. It's starting to canoe.
You want to fix that?
Are stoners good dads?
I think if Bluey's taught me anything, it's an attentive dad is a good dad. And
It's a fair statement.
generally, by consequence of caring what a small child has to say, a stone dad is generally a pretty great dad. He's a pretty great and attentive dad.
He definitely answers all your questions with a lot of
Has no problem playing
enthusiasm.
Lego. Yeah, he has a lot of enthusiasm. Yeah,
great imagination.
yeah, exceptional.
Yeah, one thing you and I have in common amongst many, many things is that we're both potheads.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're both really entwined in the legal industry. We wouldn't admit it if it was the illegal industry. And we're dads. Well, we're husbands too. I should mention that.
Yeah.
But we're also dads.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of I don't know, controversy, conversation in regards to whether or not, you know, you can consume this product and still manage to be a decent parent.
Yeah, I think like people, there's a lot of like comparing with the alcohol industry and just as a substance in general. And substance abuse is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that you also you can't take that as a blanket statement as well too, because many different substances do many different things.
Right.
And, you know, it's the old thing of whether you like to admit it, caffeine's a mind-altering substance, you know, nicotine, all that fun stuff. And it's just also how it fits in your life. And the problem is there's a billion examples. Examples? I like that one. That's good.
That was a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
joint.
put that on a t-shirt.
We had a good joint before.
Yeah. Of like high functioning stoned parents,
Mm-hmm.
and a million examples of not so great coked or alcoholic parents, or whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
not as many examples.
not as many examples that you go like, I don't know, it worked out really well.
Right.
Like, I love Blow, but the parenting in that movie wasn't the best. Right? You know,
it was a bit off.
Yeah. It was just a touch off.
Yeah.
And it's just so.
I like how you started that with "I love Blow."
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
Oh yeah. I mean, the movie, man. Yeah. It's one of those things where you're like, it's a little bit different.
Yeah. 100%.
It's undeniable.
I get it all the time. Because I post pictures of myself on the internet and often consuming.
Mhm.
And, you know, I'm very open that I'm a dad and a husband, a family man, and using this product is that there are so many stereotypes that go along with it. It's no different than the stereotypes that are attributed to this product in its own right.
I mean,
there's
the name,
lazy people, there's horrible people. They just so happen to use this product,
right,
and then therefore we get a horrible name.
Yeah, and
there's so many more examples of good people doing this, but you don't hear about that
because they're living their everyday lives.
Right.
You know, it's those basic things, and that's the part of it. I mean, the name of this is Highly Motivated because for a reason, because it's just like we're guys that have been very motivated individuals in our careers, and you know, a lot of work goes into what we do, and how can you have that perception of me off the base with all the stuff that goes on, and you're to be able to be like the laziest piece of shit.
Yeah,
it's like that's not how that works.
It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit, and like
it's the wrong narrative.
You know, there's the saying though that like, you know, a herb isn't gonna make a lazy man lazy. It's just a lazy man's lazy, right? So
yeah,
I just made that saying up. But the concept of is or the idea that just because you consume, that there's a blanket statement that just gets put on you that you are no good. You're no good. Yeah, that's not the case. And I think we're a great example of that. And I think there's plenty of great examples of that.
I think it's just if it's ever been wide open now, it's now, especially with the legal industry and the diverse amount of people that are being employed because of the plant, right? Because of this thing, and the amount of different people that come to it, and then, you know, especially when you get saturated in those situations, because everybody's got this mindset on this thing that's similar to ours. It's crazy. It's weird to feel it on that mass scale, and it becomes like it's such a normal thing to you. But yet I can be at work at the shop and every day have somebody come in and they've never tried it, and we're doing the like first experience thing with them, and it just seems insane because like every part of my life is included with this thing.
Yeah,
you know, I'm a wake and bake person.
Yeah,
I'm an all day person.
Smoke all day.
Yeah, it's just it's there all day. It's my job. You know, I'm like, I'm talking about it all day. I'm talking about it like this now. Where, you know, it's such a weird situation. I'm, you know, the new friends I've made, all of this, everything's based off of cannabis and the industry around it. And so it's just, then you get somebody that's like,
yeah, it's
you're lazy. And you're like, what?
Sheerly ignorance.
Yeah.
Sheerly ignorance.
Yeah.
You know, I think whether, you know, someone might ask, it's like, well, does it help? The answer is yes. Yeah. Does it ever? You know?
Yeah.
My boy is very active. He spends a lot of time playing hockey. He plays everything, and you know, and when he's not out playing sports, he's at home playing sports. And I suffered, you know, from injuries that I sustained during car crashes in the past. And, you know, and even if I didn't, though, it's like it helps you stay motivated. You know, for myself, at least I can like bypass the thought, or at least the challenge of having pain. I can kind of just overlook it. You know, I can consume, and then I can keep up with my boy, you know, and that's big for me. That's big because I want to be able to. And it's amazing how often, you know, it's like he'll be like, oh, you know, do you want to go for a walk, or should we go and you know, go play some mini sticks, or should we go play catch? I'm like, yeah, give me a minute.
Just give me a second.
Just give me a minute, you know, and I'll be right back, and we're going to do that. We're going to do that. And, you know, if anyone thinks that, like, perhaps maybe that's taking away from the experience, you know, that's not the case at all. I'm able to take in that experience at the best way at the most I can, because I'm attentive, I'm aware, I'm, you know, open-minded, I'm focused. These are all things that, like, before I consume, I struggle with maintaining.
Creative, relaxed,
imaginative.
You know,
yeah, you can go and play. You can become a kid yourself.
Yeah,
yeah. And that's very valuable, and that's why it's like no one gives you a hard time for taking vitamin B supplements. No. You know, and it's like, well, what's the difference between a vitamin supplement and this
mental health aid? I mean,
right?
We know there's physiologically there are benefits, and we know that to be true as it is anyways, and bound of consumption methods and everything to various degrees, of course, but like those are facts. And then, I mean, psychologically and just a regular mental health situation, like the vision of life is one of the things that I've always struggled with. I spent years at that place working like a lot of hours, like a lot of small business owners, and not having the flexibility to like not be there all the time.
Right.
And that becomes extremely draining on the way you deal with relationships, because everything's through the filter of like somebody's visiting you at work, or small time constraints, how much I can give because I'm stuck, because I've made this commitment for my life. Right. And as new businesses, that when you go through those type of things and the constraints you with your early days and like what you had available to you and all that stuff, right, and being able to want to compete in the marketplace, and those steps like take a lot out of you mentally. It becomes a separation issue where you're just like, all right, how do I communicate with my wife again?
Right.
I've got to like deal with, you know, seeing my kid on a regular basis and what that is, and like where, you know, making sure that I'm not even like overspending time, because I think I like kind of really dove into it and didn't give enough like space originally too, and then bouncing back and forth of like how I'm dealing with that. Like those little things over the last while and developing is like that's a whole thing. And like um I don't know how you create a lot of separation without having the ability to like come home from work and relax, right? And take myself, slow everything down from like being on Zoom calls all day and like ordering and doing all these things, and then you're just like creating some separation in my life where I can like calm myself down, reduce the anxiety, get myself in the moment, take myself out of my scatterbrain head of like thinking of emails I have to respond to and all that other stuff, and like singular focus. I'm thinking about what I'm doing right now, and that's, you know, being with my son, playing with my son, and, you know, spending time with my wife, that kind of thing. That creating that separation, I think, is just, it's incredible. There's like nothing like, it's like why I like the long drive home that I have, because I like that time, that buffer zone. And then I come home, I have, you know, me and my wife will have some hoots and we talk and relax, play with the kid, rewind. Right. It becomes like part of the like a habit. Like you just, because you interact, and every time you do this interaction, you talk and communicate and do all those things that, you know, like a couples therapist will tell you to do, and you're just naturally doing it because that's what you associate with this act. I'm like, what a terrible thing.
Oh, you horrible person.
What a horrible person. Yeah.
It's the truth. It's the truth. And you said it, it's like a car ride home. And you know, it's just that moment of just unwind. We live such stressful lives, particularly at work, with the hustle, the bustle, the up at 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, working till 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night.
My phone is a Christmas tree.
Yeah, boing,
you know,
boing, boing, boing,
with the
boing,
amount
boing.
of stuff going on time, and emails and phone calls and all that other stuff. And I don't even work in the media space like you do, right? Like
All my
it's
shit's turned off.
Yeah, like, and I that's the way it's to be, because how do you deal with that much input and stuff all the time? And then when you're like, when I'm working, and you know, that kind of thing, value of time.
Separation is key too, right? In the same way you said it, in division of work and life, it's, you know, the time that I spend focused on work needs to be time spent focused on work. But that same thing is said about life, man. It's like the time focused on life needs to be focused on life. So after that 4 or 5, whatever to my clock is, when I'm done, there's no work,
right?
You know, and that's where it's like, that's right. I like to unwind, just feel a good hoot at the end of the day, you know. And you know, some people feel that same thing with like maybe a long walk or a nice cold beer, a glass of wine, you know, and just anything, you know, just to unwind. And then it's like you can approach your life head on. Ready to just tackle whatever comes your way and to overcome your challenges, and entertain your family, provide for them. And that's, you know, and I don't lose any of that. Be engaged. I don't lose any of that when I consume this plant before I do anything. You know, it's not unusual for me. I've got little packs everywhere. Behind me there's a little fanny pack where I keep my product in. I've got a box over here I keep my product in that I travel everywhere with.
Well, it's just funny, the accommodation level that you will do in your life, like not just you, but like me in general. You know, everything is okay. What are we doing? Like as soon as we knew we were having a kid, it was like, okay, how are we adjusting where we keep things? Because obviously bongs out isn't a thing, and the way that life changes, and then you just continue to make adjustments. And that's the things I think a lot of people will like see what smoking in your teenage or early 20 years looks like because of a movie or something. And then it's so like, I don't like, do you think I just have bongs on my coffee table?
Right.
Like we don't keep nice figurines out. Why would I keep my bong out?
Yeah.
You know, like,
or drugs.
Right. Or drugs for that matter. Like, let alone the expensive glass piece. That's the thing I'm worried about, the monetary, you know, like, but it's just like, yeah, how would you have either of those things and expect to not or to not have issues? Like you have to evolve and change and accommodate what's going on with your life, right? You know,
in
like
the same way when my boy was going from crawling to walking,
right?
You know, when he was crawling, or not even moving for that matter, you know, it's like things were only so high up or so far away. But then all of a sudden, within just a few moments, it's like I had to adapt and overcome, and the way to do that was to move things farther out of reach, to educate, no, you can't have this. And that's what I feel as a parent, my job is to do, is to educate my kid. Because this is something that I feel that now I speak for myself because I almost had zero role models growing up, but it's like there was nobody to educate me to say, okay, this is why you probably shouldn't use it. Not because it's just like it's the same as crack or it's the same as
We're dare
heroin.
generation kids. They're like,
That's right.
I mean, my
that
elementary
was
school was
horrible.
like abstinence. I would never touch any of this stuff like that. I was very against it, right? Like, and that was the education and how we were supposed to deal with it.
It was by fear.
Yeah. You don't touch this stuff.
And look what it did.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Didn't work.
The thing is that like my boy now is 11. He's gonna be turning 12 next month. Crazy. And it's fair to say that this product is very prevalent in my house. The garden it's not locked. There's no lock on my garden door. In fact, he's helped me garden. He's helped me water. He's helped me deal with the plants. And this is something I want him to know. I want him to understand how to be self-sufficient. I want him to be able to care for himself. I want him to be able to provide for himself. And I want him to be able to be, a man. I want him to know how to take care of things.
He's going to get to decide if he even wants involvement.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
Like we all...
Like, no, thanks.
Right. Like there's 1,000 different routes that this can go, but it's the fact that it's understood and educated, and there's an example of a high functioning, a credible example of a household and a relationship and role model and all that other stuff. And that's the stuff that's like, that doesn't happen in a lot of those other situations. It just doesn't. It doesn't. That attentiveness and care isn't like on the forefront. It's not something that's thought of based off of that continual communication around this thing that's involved in your life.
Communication will never end. Like, I know as he progresses and gets a little bit older, he's going to be presented in different scenarios that are going to present different challenges to overcome. And I'm hoping that throughout his experience, I'm going to be able to provide him with enough wherewithal to be able to make the decision that, no, I'm going to wait. Like kids are making great decisions or can make great decisions when it comes to alcohol. I know a kid that didn't drink all the way through high school, shout out to Greg. But the moment we got out of high school though, he went ham. But the thing is that it's like, so you can make the right decision if you're prepared with the right information.
Right.
So that's all I want to do for my boy. It's like, will he ever smoke? Maybe.
Right.
Maybe someday, like, it could be the stuff that I provide, and it's not stuff that he has to get from the street or, somewhere else,
right.
But, I'm gonna wait till that road comes before I cross it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I had a big thing with an example with alcohol as a young kid. My dad had a bar and bowling center restaurant and a card club at one point, and I was around a lot of old professional drinkers and that spent time in places like these, right? And so that was a lot of the example set with the consumption and such, and then went to a rural school where binge drinking is like the norm and celebrated, right? And your accomplishments and that, whatever that's supposed to mean, and then the repercussions of living that with like, young people getting in themselves in unfortunate situations and stuff growing up. Like it's just an incredibly tumultuous world to be part of. And then I'm like, I have none of those issues. Right? Absolutely none of those issues emotionally, anything like that with any of the relationships, friendships, my wife, with my kid. None of that is attached to it. With this, and even when I was drinking lots, it was at a function or something. It wasn't like an all-day drinking situation, but it was just, it's you can't equate the two.
No, you can't. And I want to be clear though. It's like I don't think kids should be smoking.
Oh no.
But like there is plenty of evidence out there that suggests that this product can be, or this plant can be used for medicinal purposes
yeah.
on
Seizures
all
and stuff.
ages.
You've seen a lot of
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
Epileptic, the
Yeah.
epileptic treatments that, or the ailments that this plant manages to treat,
Right.
is incredible, man.
Right.
And like the testimonials from children that go, they say they, you know, tens of seizures a day to none,
Mhm.
you know, to one a week. You know, it's like, wow.
I think that my thought process and that is the same as like I also don't let my kid take Tylenol.
Right.
But if it was prescribed to him, he
Right.
would be taking it
Yep.
for something that,
Yep.
you know, like it's if it's something that needs to be dealt with, that's the reason we're doing it, and it's a greater good. It's a harm reduction. That the entire concept of the medical system.
Yeah, I don't doubt had there been, or had it been legal this whole time, I have no doubt that there'd be an array of medical purposes for it, both for pediatric ailments and adults.
Right.
You know, of course, because pre 1930 whatever 2 or whatever it was, there was.
Yeah.
There was cannabis sativa in so many different things, you know. And it's just amazing. It's amazing to see how the times.
And we're starting to see these things come back in terms of alternate medicines, if you want to call them that again, because they're kind of the originals. But like, there's that company packaging and producing cocaine for prescription to be available through the medical system, right? And that's a new thing that just happened, right? And like, that's just another step. We're seeing that in psilocybin with mushrooms and such, right? A lot of research there, MDMA, a lot of stuff's happening, and governments are getting more and more open to allowing the research to happen.
Yeah.
And we're looking into these things because we see the patterns and the consistency. They're not researching into all of these fact that like MDMA's, you know, for PTSD and the with therapy and all that. Like you can't have these anecdotes and then like, you know, that's where this is coming from. That's why there's so much interest in there, because there's so many, you know, anecdotal stories that are supporting all of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interest in that side of the spectrum, and it's continuing to grow more and more. And now that I think we're getting more used to monetizing drugs, like that's the thing what cannabis is going to be really good for, is we've gotten used to it a little bit. But you know, it's going to allow the medical system to not have to rely on the same things and give us a few more options, which I think is going to be like probably better in the long run anyways for a lot of us.
Totally. Yeah, 100%.
And we're just going to know more about substances and like, whoops.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
probably help somebody along the way. And,
well, you know, you think it's you know, it can't be coincidental too that like we're at an all-time high in terms of the amount of stress, the amount of pressure we put ourselves in terms of workload and relationships, and you know, and it's like we have not had access to this medication for almost 100 years. So it's like, what do you think that did to our bodies, man? You know, we have an endocannabinoid system within us that is designed to receive cannabinoids, and we've deprived it. So I'm curious. It's like, you know,
we haven't deprived it, but like, yeah,
we're making up for many generations. I want it to be known. We're providing a service here.
Saturated.
Okay. But yeah, there's in no way that I would ever blame this plant for making it harder, or making it, you know, making it so that someone cannot raise a child. It is not, correlation does not mean causation. Just because someone consumes it and they're a bad parent doesn't mean that that's what made them a bad parent. You know, there's plenty of examples of great parents out there that are using it, man. And like, you know, find ways to make it work for you. That's what would be my advice, because like I said, I got a box for different occasions. You know, we're going out in the summertime, we're going out in the wintertime, we're going to baseball, we're going to hockey. I got a different box. Some of them have got vapes, some of them have got pipes, you know, my inside and my outside.
Always accommodated.
Always accommodated. Always accommodated. And do I have someone else there? Because I could provide for them too, you know, give them a little something. And, you know, that's what you should do, man. Being a parent should be fun.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be something that it's like all of a sudden I had a kid. It's like, okay, now I have to be a hard ass and a stickler and no fun.
That's what's exciting about the age group you're at. My son's younger; he's about to be 4,
right?
And but like now as we're getting to do more things, like he went to his first birthday party the other day with one of his classmates from preschool, and you get that engagement, you get to find out like what other parents smoke, and then you get to do like that portion of it. Like I'm excited for that because it's so much opportunity.
It totally is, and let me tell you,
it makes it easier too.
Yes,
honestly, it takes some of the anxiety off because I have this built-in method. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, here's my coping mechanism. You know, like, but it's community, and that's great, and it makes things easier. And then all of a sudden, like everybody's guards down, and now you're just talking, sharing a joint or something, right?
It's always a great icebreaker. I often find that that's just a great way for me to start meeting new friends. In terms of parents that my boy is that I'm gonna have to deal with for a long time.
Right.
We're not moving.
Yeah.
And these, my boy's gonna be growing up with these people, so it's like, make friends with them, and it's just funny how you always you kind of gravitate to the ones that smoke kind of first, and then you gravitate to everybody else, afterwards. But man, it is definitely a great icebreaker, and it's great opportunity to just chill and hang with someone and just start conversation. So definitely, if you have kids, definitely a great way to just point out in a crowd to be like, which one of you is the toker in the group? Huh?
There's a funny this Facebook group. It's Indy's mom, and if you have young children, you watch Bluey, and Indy's mom is like one of the hippie characters, and she's associated with weed, and for good reasons. I just like found this group, and I'm part of like no Facebook groups because I barely use it, but I love those little Bluey memes. The amount of Bluey we watch in this household, and it's funny. Like everybody's got that like same vibe. It is I'm like that and a hockey group, and the hockey group is much more aggressive. It is much more hostile. The conversations are much, much more hostile. Somebody could put up the worst art they did or something, and everybody's still so supportive and wonderful and happy, and it's just like, it's the weirdest thing. Yeah, it's so communal. It's crazy.
Yeah. There's definitely nothing missing within this community that
that's around a kid show, like,
right. This community is
parents are so engaged. Like, what a terrible thing.
What a horrible
thing.
What a horribly engaged parent you are. How dare you know what your kid did
love
today.
Bluey though. It's so
I'm a huge proponent of parents that are going to be involved. I think that you should be comfortable. I think you should be having fun. Being parents should be fun. You're on an adventure of life, and you should be riding it. Take it with you, man. And one of those ways I do is I like to just take the edge off with a nice hoot just about all the time.
Just about all the time.
Yeah. Before we play catch, before we go out to play mini sticks, before we board games, video games, you name it. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna like just have a nice rip. First, I'm not getting totally inebriated.
Well, that's the other thing too.
Like I can still drive. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not getting, like I can get high.
Light levels.
I can get high.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm just medicated. I'm in a position where I'm.
It's purposes.
Yeah.
Tactical hoots.
Tactical hoots. That's what I like to hear. Do you participate in tactical hoots? We want to hear from you guys. Leave us a comment in the comment section below. This has been a wicked conversation, brother. I know that this is a conversation that should be happening more often. I know that there's people that are out there that are enjoying the benefits of this plant, that are nervous about the look or the perception that they're going to receive from other people. I don't want someone to be worried about that. The people that are perceiving you or judging you have far more skeletons in their closet. You can almost guarantee it, right? Because it's funny. It's like people who throw rocks tend to live in a glass house. Is that saying? Is that right?
Something like that.
Something like that. Huh? You can break.
Don't throw rocks in glass houses.
Yeah, throwing rocks.
Yeah, I don't know.
But needless to say, it's like, don't let it get to you. This plan is only gonna heighten your ability to be the best human being that you can be. And we want to hear from you guys. We got a website. If you want to engage over there, come check us out. The link will be in the description. HighlyMotivatedProductions.ca.
That is it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Come check us out and come visit us on all of our platforms. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. Highly Motivated Podcast. Highly Motivated Productions. Come check it out. It's this logo. Okay. If it's not this logo, it's not us. All right.
Highly motivated.
Highly motivated. We'll see you guys next week. Peace. Yeah, boy.